Let's check in now with 13 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brian Schofield. I hear you talking about a little possibility of rain.
Right.
Doesn't look like it now.
Yeah, I know. A lot of doubters out there now, but it's on its way. I'll show you. Well, I showed you earlier, certainly computer models saying, oh yeah, just give it a little more time. Even yesterday, computer models were showing it more early afternoon. That has kind of been pushed ahead till late afternoon into the early evening hours. But you can see clouds filling up pretty nice. There's still some sunshine out there as well. Let me show you our forecast rainfall totals. Yesterday, a little more impressive than today. So through the 4 o'clock hour, not anticipating really much. You can see all those goose eggs there. But you get into the early evening hours, and that's when we start to see it creep on in, especially with some of that heavier banding. There will be some areas that manage to dodge quite a bit of it, so keep that in mind. It's always hit and miss across the valley, but when it hits through the evening hours, we're looking maybe to the tune of 1/10 of an inch, maybe a little higher than that, and this number might just be an anomaly, but certainly looking at some of that heavier banding sticking around more eastern ends of the valley. And that's why Henderson and Boulder City have some pretty good totals, and closer to the mountains we don't see that. Upper elevation should actually do a little better than that, my feeling is, but for tomorrow I don't see any of this continuing. I see we holding on to these kind of totals, and we don't see that much rainfall in May, so this will really put us over our May average actually. So good to see some rainfall. We haven't seen it in 30 days or more, but as far as on this date, it's been a long while. It's been 40 years since we've seen rain on this date. This will break that streak. 1977 was the last time, and the only time actually, we've seen measurable rain on this date. So just phenomenal to know that number. Crunching all the numbers for you. Peak gusts, yeah, we haven't talked much about this because the rain has taken precedence because now that we know it's on its way, but we should do pretty well with the wind today and tomorrow, especially if there's a thunder boom around. You know those will create quite a bit of wind. And even for Thursday, we get a little lull. And I think actually Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday are decent days except for the wind, that intense wind that'll probably show up. We'll start to clear things out and warm things up a little bit. It'll be pretty nice. But here you go, a nice big band that really hasn't quite made its way into the valley. Moapa Valley, Valley of Fire, starting to see a little bit come through up to the north and west, but really just mostly in the upper elevations. You folks in Pahrump starting to see some of that, especially near Shoshone, really out toward the west. And this system, yeah, it's not done. It's really just kind of getting started. So don't count anything out for tonight. But once it leaves, Wednesday, it's just non-existent and we clear out. So keep that in mind. Here's what we're anticipating for the coming weekend. We always love to show you the weekend first, help you plan. Temperatures do come down, but not by much. Either way, middle 80s to lower 90s. Windy conditions, yes, with several systems that all they can bring us seems to be the wind on those days. So I don't see any rain beyond today in our next 7, but I do see plenty of days where those disturbances, they stay a little more to the north. They don't give us the rain, but they give us the wind. We stay in the 80s thereafter with overnight lows staying in the 60s. All right.